Fierce choice of what they want for the bot lane in this rotation.
Yeah, and I would expect it to be the Zeri after the performance you had last game, seeing that Top Esports weren't able to push that advantage forward and JackeyLove was going, over aggressive. You don't have to worry about the Vi on the opposite side now. I think it just opens a lot of opportunities for Hope to go back to such a strong pick.
So I'm kind of wondering where we go next. As you said, the Zeri looked there, though, not looked at the jungle for now. But Kanavi does have the option if we do start talking about the Vi. He flexes one of his ults.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to take the Lulu in this situation because what you don't want is them to take like Sivir Lulu in response. But
yeah.
This is interesting. They actually lock in the Vi even though the Poppy's already been secured for them.
And we saw earlier in playoffs, right, the JDG were one of the teams who were willing to leave jungle the second rotation when things like Poppy came out because they have the Morganas, they have the Belvets, but it still seems like taking that key learning of last series of you want Kanavi on something that has agency to make something happen.
Yeah, and I mean, he can lead the charge. A lot of the picks in the meta can really be punished by the Vi. Lucian, obviously, a short-range AD carry, and the mobility doesn't do much. I actually think the Sivir is the right call here because the Vi isn't very useful against it. And you can lock in the Lulu here if you want, or you can go in a different direction. You have so much scope here for Top Esports.
I also like what it sets up of having like Poppy and now the Sivir to answer to the Zeri because since you know JDG is going to play into you, I think if you have those like zone control, disengage tools to be able to play out extended team fights, I mean, heck, if game one and last year's anything to go off of is that it's all going to come down to those small niche moments.
That's true. I'm kind of excited to see how it builds up in the solo laners as well because we talked a little bit about bottom lane for Top Esports. Not actually going that direction, Orcs. Instead, Knight on Ahri. Also a key takeaway from Yagao.
Yeah, big pick for him, but also denial from that Vi Ahri combo that we see being so potent.
Yeah.
And now the question is, what are JDG going to take here? Because I feel like the Lulu is probably going to be banned second rotation if we don't see it picked up. Although I get the feeling that these teams aren't so set on that enchanter trade-off we typically see with these AD carries, and maybe wanting a bit more tools to go in to make things happen. JDG look like they might opt for the Lulu themselves, and that does leave options for Mark to play, things that can be more aggressive, things like the Nautilus, the Amumu isn't something he's played, but missing definitely loves into the Zeri, so maybe we see those banned out here by JDG.
Yeah, I think it'd be smart. Then I'd be curious to see what TES go on 3. In their last series, JDG had this like really weird fear of Renata. They dropped that ban after the first 2 games in that series, but I don't know if it's something that maybe Top Esports willing to pull it out in a situation like this. But I think both Amumu and Nautilus definitely good takeaways. Amumu just able to go so aggressive in that bot lane. Then, the point click CC from the Nautilus. That's what you want up against a champion like a Zeri.
I'll also say as well, even though Leona doesn't have that as much, guys, Mark has been a big Leona player too. LGD days at 2020 Worlds, always something I throw on the back of my mind just simply because of the player itself. Top Esports though, it's a ban against Yagao with the Lissandra that he piloted last game.
Yeah, I mean, it's the matchup we've seen time and time again across the season into the Ahri, really potent. And also, that's the thing with the Vi's. You want backup buddies who can go in with you, especially when you look at the enemy team being an Ahri who's super mobile, so if you don't lock her in place for long enough, she will get away, and a Sivir who will spell shield one of those abilities. So if it's just a Vi, she really will pose no threat. We do see that Mumu ban come through. Really good in the Zeri, as we were talking about, but also reducing the damage from the Q quite heavily. So the best engaged supports into Zeri have been taken off the cards, but as you said, Jake, Leona still an option if Mark wants that.
I'm just kind of curious about the last ban here for Top Esports though, because with the Lissandra gone, Yagao has a couple of big OTPs that he's piloted in the mid with a strong jungle as well there.
Yeah, like you'd expect Taliyah from what we've seen in the meta, but we hit on in the last draft, right, that you always have like the LeBlanc available. It's something we saw a lot in regular season, haven't been seen as much. Rise is something that Yagao has been surprisingly willing to play quite a bit, even in situations where it doesn't necessarily look like it fits. But with Aatrox off the board, I just expect the Taliyah to be locked in.
Yeah, and I do think that we might end up seeing Wayward take the Gnar with the Aatrox being banned. It's something we've seen most of all into the Gnar, taking that comment for the heavy trades, and that could lead to 369 maybe just taking the Kennen again in that matchup, which he was confident on.
Yep.
I do like the Taliyah because obviously, if you get that ult on someone, you lock them in place, the follow-up is there. And now for Top Esports, what do they take support? Is it just going to be the Leona? And are we going to see that Gnar for Wayward?
That's a good question.
You are the support main, my friend. I'm interested to see what they pick up too. Leona being on the table. Gnar is the expected pick to come out here. But I think regardless, as TS, you definitely want something with some engage, with some agency in that support role. We already talked about how they have a lot of like tools to kite out fights after maybe finding a pick with the charm coming out from the Ahri, but we've seen teams struggle so much with lack of engage when it has been a meta all about 5v5s.
That's so true, right? As we look towards the board. Now, you were also mentioning the Renata here before, something that was heavily banned against them.
Yeah. This blew my mind, Docs, right? Me and you were talking about this yesterday of, one of the picks that JDG just feared so much, and that hasn't really been a staple in playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like since the nerfs, so we saw the HP get toned down a bit. Since, Calista isn't really something we've seen Top Esports lean on that much. I didn't expect it to be banned as much as it was by JDG, but it looks like Top Esports want that solid engage. And I think it makes sense because Poppy kind of needs someone to be against a wall. Gnar needs to be mega. Ahri has the charm, sure, but I'm sure JDG will be taking Cleanse. Having the Leona, especially with Glacial Augment, even if Cleanse comes down, you have that slow field. So Top Esports kind of wrapping up their comp nicely. Now, JDG.
Again.
Let's go.
369. I expected the Kennen, but they're going for the Sion. They want that bulky frontline.
Yeah, I thought it'd be the Kennen, or maybe even if they wanted to go for the Sejuani, because let's be real, we've seen Sejuani's base damages be equivalent of the Kennen coming out, but another staple coming out for them. A lot of engage on the side of JDG. They're setting up for, you know, front to back with the amount of frontline they have, but even TES, you have the Pop, you have the Leona, you're able to absorb a lot of this damage. If Tian can find some really high value ultimates onto Kanavi or 369 when they're looking for the fights, Yagao and Hope are just isolated.
Yeah, and I think that can be an avenue they can pursue, but they're going to have to when it comes to team fights, because I feel like the DPS, the backline power of JDG, the fact that, yeah, it's Sivir into Zeri, but you have the Lulu to amplify that. Taliyah is always going to do more damage than an Ahri. Yes, the burst is there for the Ahri, but that constant Q coming through will do so much, and I feel like I want to see Top Esports finding that early momentum, using those engage tools early on.
Because it's a different dynamic this time around, right? Last time we saw the Lucian Nami, we saw all plans towards the bottom lane while JDG swapped the map. Lyric, are we looking at different paths here, or are we just changing up the order?
I think the thing I'm most curious about is what Mark is going to look to do, especially on the map. Because against Zeri actually, unlike other AD carries who are more indexed into scaling, there is threat of her to all-in you if you are left by yourself. If Mark goes for these roams, can just dash over that wall, look for the all-in. Heck, we saw JackeyLove go for that kill before,
True.
But Mark, if he can impact mid or top, I think would be huge.
There's a flashback for me, Lyric. Remember, you and I casting 2020 also involved LGD, and Mark, being the shot caller on that roster, made this pick his own in the LPL. Now for Top Esports to get the returning game in the grand final, for JDG start building up the pace. Remember, game one was back and forth. It was bloody. It was so befitting an entrance into our 2022 Summer Championship, as JDG and Top Esports, sitting 1-1 in those said championships as well, are trying to break the mold. We're looking for our first seed here. We're looking for our two-time champion, and our new rivalry of JDG and Top Esports is hopefully only beginning as we get into game number 2.
And I feel like one thing I'm really looking at is going back to that bottom lane, especially since we have you here, Ox, because, you know, when I see a Leona, especially against an Enchanter, I think of either two avenues, right? Either Tian playing heavily towards that bot side and using the fact that you have the engage, having the base damages from the Leona to try and win out through either just ganks or 3v3s, or if you think maybe Mark will look to try and find more impact somewhere else.
I honestly feel like for this game, the fact that there's so many cleanses available for Yagao in the mid lane, like the ideal thing is that you're able to make plays in the mid lane as support because it's so close to bot lane. You can roam easily. So maybe they go for an AD play in Yagao, bin that cleanse, put him on the back foot before he gets level 6. But for me, when you have the Poppy as well, this is a comp where the Sivir, when we hit that level 6.4 Knight, potentially, you push in the wave, stack it up into the tower with that wave player from the Sivir, and then when Poppy comes in, when JDG's bot lane are under tower, there is so little you can do.
Think about how tanky the duo is as well. So looking forward to see if Mark makes those movements while we start on the bottom side for Top Esports. No jungle pathing up there. 369 being very generous as a top laner with a decimating smash with a starter wrap.
And I think it's what you expect, right? He knows he's playing Sion against Gnar, which is why we see the spellbook come out. No other rune would really be able to do anything in the melee versus range matchup. And he's going to be a champion that is very low economy, can work with really no items. His job is going to be pressing that R button and trying to find those opportunities for them to be able to get on top of JackeyLove.
One of the things, though, is that Shington was bought in game 1, and a big reason was they needed an answer to 369. 369 has been, without doubt, the best performing top laner we have seen in the LPL in this split.
Yeah.
But in this game, Waywood is the one who has to push. He is the one who has to challenge. He is the one who has to try and garner an advantage as the Gnar and be more relevant. Because if 369 is able just to farm up, he will have 5,000-6,000 HP in team fights, and his job's done.
And, you know, we saw in the Trash Talk video, 369 saying, like, hey, Wayward, you've had a year to learn Gnar. Like, can you get this champion under your belt? Is okay,
Ignite.
Hope?
Yeah, Hope actually in a bit of danger, but getting a trade back onto JackeyLove, that's a summon a spell for nothing, but Top Esports getting lane.
The really important thing is, you know, they weren't going to kill him bot lane, but Mark bait in the Ignite because he wanted Hope's cleanse to set up for a further play, but Hope holds his nerf. He just tanks the Ignite damage and will try and sustain it up.
We're early here, though, in the mid lane. Orcs, it doesn't involve Mark, but it does involve the Flash. You're spot on at the moment with the seismic shove in return, but what can Kanavi do?
Oh, he's looking for an angle. If he gets his big flank around, could be promising, but honestly, I feel like against the Sivir, against the Leona, They are still level 2.
He's back.
Oh my God.
He just burnt the flash. Tian in response at level 3.
Oh!
First blood as Knight commits as well. But here's Kanavi in the bottom lane. 3 versus 2. Heal out early. Zenith Blade interrupts. Mark tanky enough. Flashes away. And top Esports make it a 1-0.
And I just love that play coming out in mid, especially Knight flashing the seismic shove was so huge, or the damage wouldn't have been there. So already committing 2 ganks onto mid. JDG tried to respond in bot, but not able to make it happen.
We're 3.5 minutes in. I feel like this is what we expected from these two going head-to-head. But yeah, I mean, this is the return angle gank going in here. Tian knows they have summon advantage. There's no way Yagao can do anything. Knocks him away, and the Knight's very patient, waits for the seismic shove. Once he sees it on the ground, knows he can flash.
Again!
Oh my
It's all
God!
back in. Yagao still level 3. Easy shove back. The shock. Knight with fancy feet as well. He does throw up the emote, but still this bullying has just kicked off nicely.
You know, and I love this plan because I feel like one thing we've seen from Knight so far in playoffs is he's been good, but we haven't necessarily seen those crazy carry performances we had in the regular season.
True.
And it's like, hey, for top esports, we're all inning on bot every game against JDG. It's not getting us wins. Let's try and set Knight up to have more of an impact and show why he was that first all-pro mid laner.
Yeah, no, Wayward doing a fair bit of damage, 369, but he should just be able to shrug it
okay.
off. I think the big thing as well is with this Ahri pick, we were talking about the DPS potential of JDG's backline.
Yeah.
The fact that Taliyah and Zeri, they get to a point where they just chunk out damage constantly. Ahri needs to be ahead if you're going to be relevant. We often see Ahri's lean into like Everfrost playing that utility build. You don't want that this game. You want Knight to be a big threat, especially when you have a poppy jungle who isn't really adding too much damage yourself.
Yeah, I think especially like looking towards that mid right, I expect we probably see the Leandries come out from Knight, which has been something we've seen more in playoffs. Come out from Ahri's knowing they need to go for that huge damage roll. And now, I mean, top esports having, I think, really solid map set up. They have pressure up in top side. They have full vision control around both top. And I mean, I guess now having that control ward mid for JDG, but just keep hammering home on where you've started to find these advantages. It is a little bit rough considering that top esports did have to invest a ton of flashes into these plays, but I still think they're possible.
Yeah, I think the one thing to take note of for me is the fact that Hope are missing, despite that early pressure that we saw come out from top esports, still have summoners. With the gank from Kanavi, top esports are down summoners on their bot side, as well as obviously the jungle. So I was looking out for that level 6 point from Knight, the bot side lean with the Poppy that could be threatening. Maybe top esports aren't able to find that just because of the summoner disadvantage they have.
Because we are looking at a lost chapter on Knight as well. Note that 15 CS lead in the mid lane makes him even more threatening. And you gents were talking a little bit about Mark moving around. The 3 of them as a unit, where top esports want to go, is right in front of this dragon for now.
Yeah, and I think it's just a great job, right? Engage support's doing a lot better in these early skirmishes than what Enchanters are able to provide. You can see Missing hovering around, making sure he's there just in case an Engage comes through, but opens up for the counter jungle. They have some great vision into JDG's jungle so far, and now can start spotting out what kind of movements they're going to look to make. This kind of opens up for Kanavi. I mean, if he goes bot, he's going to be spotted. You can go topside, but you have a sign. You don't want to go topside.
That's
true.
true.
You really do want to make this play work on the bot side. And especially like early on, it's so threatening for Kanavi because I expect he's going to go Merc Treads this game. I mean, Tian's picked up his own, but the CC layering between the Leona, the Ahri, the Poppy, you just don't get a chance to play the game. If one hits, they all hit.
That's right. We talked a lot about it as we're going to Dragon quickly. It is from Kanavi and Missing. Remember, level 4 on this Vi. Tian is level 5. He's on the top side right now, but beelining it back down to the river to threaten.
And we need to remind people that Dragons, you know, did give those changes a few patches ago where they were made much tankier, much harder to kill, which is why we don't see early Dragons anymore, but Yagao.
He's walking in. Now Tian's there against the wall. Guess who's back? Cleanse comes out. Knight just follows over the wall. Leave Yagao alone as Knight gets his second kill.
Such a fantastic angle to find and the patience to make sure you're slamming into the wall. Knight is there to follow the power of the Ahri, and now Yagao being threatened more. Now 369. You know, I gotta say, Wayward, this is the matchup I was most concerned about. He's doing a pretty good job so far. And since he has Prio, he can move over to help with this.
We just saw Kanavi using Vault Breaker there, but Tian not going to punish for now. However, level 6. We've got the Keeper's Verdict alive as Kanavi is the level down. Denied here, but the red buff at least going down to the jungler when JDG just get bulleted out in multiple facets.
I just love that we're seeing this because we were talking about before. Oh no, they're still going. But this is how you push an advantage forward. They know Yagao's getting pushed in mid. They know 369's under turret top lane. Just don't let Kanavi play the game.
And this is our LPL Summer MVP for you as well. People want to talk trash to Tian, but the jungle performance has been insane to say the least.
You know what, sometimes people look at the LPL and they're like, what are they fighting fighting for. It's easier to say what they don't fight for. There's very little. They will fight for any camp, any ward, any bit of vision. They will push any advantage. And Kanavi, you know, he's done a decent job able to mitigate the pressure, pick up those 2 camps.
True.
But he doesn't get much chance to breathe. He doesn't get much chance to even find an opportunity when Tian is just constantly overlooking him.
And he's just played the map so well, right? Makes the plays towards top, then leans bot, knowing it's a timing where Kanavi will want to be bot, get vision set down, start preparing top side because you know Herald's going to be up. They now pick this one up. And I mean, just the early game so far from TS has been great. And I am so happy we hit on in game 1 how teams don't really look towards mid anymore, but it feels like it could be a viable option to get the ball rolling when you have so much CC around the mid lane. And top esports are showing that exactly.
Especially if you put Knight in a position where he's always first to move, he's first to get there on the map, then it just means that he can lean into your side lanes to set them ahead. And now, with top esports having the Herald, you know, you have options here. Bot lane, getting the Sivir ahead would obviously have a ton of value, but you could also put it mid. So if Yagao does try and leave mid lane, if he does try and offer assistance to the side lanes, maybe he just loses the whole tower.
Might be depending on Kanavi here, is not spotted out for the time being, going into brush on the outskirts of vision.
Oh, he's been spotted.
And as you said, that ward is going to kick him in the thigh, because for Kanavi, spending time up here, look at the rest of the map and the pings coming from top esports as they move down bot.
I mean, it's good calls overall. Wayward about to turn Mega as well. For JDG, they already feel choked out, right? Can't really make any plays around mid right now. Bot's in a rough position.
Hello?
For 369 having to flash. Wayward coming out ahead. Ox, where's the emote?
I don't know. That's what I'm wondering. Where is the emote game from Wayward? That's why they subbed him in, obviously.
Yeah, that's true.
But the second Kanavi reset, he goes for that window and burns the flash from 369. And now top esports trying to get complete control over this bot side area. But you can see JackeyLove is about to push this wave in. Knight already has priority mid. This river is theirs.
Also, Knight already having the Leandries that we talked about, right? Wanting to play more of that damage role, setting them up for success in any skirmishes that come through. I mean, TS just look and feel so strong right now. Just looking at items, Noon Quiver, Pickaxe already picked up, Vampiric Scepter and Longsword on the opposite side. They can do whatever they want.
And now with First Dragon, the Herald that you guys were talking about, that can be placed really much anywhere at the moment. But top esports, that early game control comes through, and you know, it comes back to Tian, what we've seen through mid-jungle, and how we see JDG getting choked out. Another good early start, but this time feels a lot more dominant, since top esports changed the dynamic through draft anyway as well.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, right, not only dominant, but I think methodical in terms of like where they have been putting their pressure, and just Tian constantly making sure JDG don't have an avenue to make plays. You know, you can play towards your win conditions like you should, but also if you shut the enemy out from having any options, feels like one of the best ways to play League of Legends, and that's what TS really have done here.
Yeah, and I think the important thing here is, like, you have a Zeri show, which is going to be fantastic in late stages of the game, but Yagao is behind. You have a tank top laner. Vi isn't exactly a DPS champion by any means, so if it gets to the point where in those later team fights, so much burden is going to be put on Hope, and there's so much threat to him on the opposite side.
I feel like right now we're looking towards Kanavi, though, as we get towards next Dragon, next Herald. Tian as well on the top side will be making a response.
No.
Flash.
369 is now going to be joined in the bullying club, as 369 has to ulti out first, but he's got no flash. A good call, folks, as the seismic shove back on in. It's a bit of a dash, excuse me, as top esports now set Wayward ahead too.
And this is an example of something that I feel like LPL teams are so fantastic at doing, is if a summoner is burned just because, you know, 369 made a mistake, his flash is down, that leaves them following up with his gank. If he hadn't had his flash burned by Wayward, that play probably doesn't happen. And now, looks like top esports, knowing that they can't be responded to, might just go for the Herald top. I'm kind of surprised. I expected it mid or bot, but it's timing out, so Tian's just going to throw it down here and get Wayward ahead.
And now we're at a point in the game looking forward where JDG know they cannot match top esports. They can't look to try and like save their top turret or match ganks in mid. It's pretty much avoid TS at all costs. Try and buy time for items to come out. We need to start seeing, you know, again, those neutral vision lines come on the board and spot out where TS are.
Oh, good side step, goes through, but gets stunned by the rocks. Meanwhile, Tian's back. The angle so annoying. The charm missing out. Yagao not burning to death.
He did it!
What a nuisance that Yagao has to go through.
Everything banned from Yagao with full health bar as well, but he does manage to survive. It's a great flash to dodge away from the stun from Tian, but yeah, just fantastic moves coming out from Yagao to survive that one, but so much pressure consistently being applied.
We just
Not
get to watch
quite.
Wayward
I was
bottom,
gonna
right?
say-
It's like, Wayward's back, guys.
I think they were showing, I'm assuming Waywood's recall got stopped. He hasn't bored. He is sitting on Ninja Tabbies and a Cull, whereas 369 has a full Mythic completed.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. Waywood's ahead in gold, but he doesn't really get to flex that at the moment.
You know, it would have been cool if we actually saw the part where it was stopped, but you're right. I mean, still not having any items.
They give us a little thread. We have to work it out
figure it
ourselves.
LPL is a puzzle game.
Oh, but he just bought a full Triforce. That's rough.
good.
369. That's
Yeah.
good for top esports.
I mean, right, we're now at this point in the game where for JDG, it's going to be about overloading opposite, like other sides of the map. You're going to have to kind of concede top lane matchup because you know Wayward will just hard win in the 1v1. And 369 now, it's going to be about like, hey, I pushed my wave in. I can go try and find a numbers advantage play somewhere else and hope you can get more than Wayward can take in the top.
And I was going to ask you a little bit more about like Yagao's influence, right? When we came into this draft for Game 2, we said, okay, Kanavi, Yagao play a big part. Bot lane is the scaling lane that we talk about getting to the safety. But Yagao hasn't been able to weave his wall yet and play the mid game.
Well, I think that's why Top Esports Plan has been so successful, because you're not going to organically get advantages top or bot for JDG. Those are lanes that are going to scale up, and if you bring attention, it's fantastic. So by hampering down on mid, we haven't had that freedom.
They still just want him.
They're just not letting him play the game, and it just means that because Yagao's
let's go
forced
somewhere else.
out, 369 feels the pressure.
I love it. Tian's like, can I kill Yagao? No. Okay, back up to 369 on the top side. Maybe Tian hasn't brushed his teeth today, looking for some toothpaste through mid. While Kanavi now with the counterplay. Knight's trying to move up, but he's been interrupted. Spirit Rush to cease and desist. Mark can't help out. The Zenith Blade not connecting with the Ignite. The runaway, one more Spirit Rush. Kanavi would be the reset, but now Mark's the new target. Flashing away. Well, meanwhile, 369 died, and guess who was involved? As Mark is running from Yagao, has to burn the flash. His Weaver's Wall is on a cooldown because he's been in combat, but Top Esports are still deathless.
They found a kill, and like, look at JDG. They committed both flashes to find a pick in mid. They didn't even get Knight's flash because he had ulti.
Yeah.
And then, okay, you got summoners out
I
from
don't
Leona.
think Tian's going to let you do this, by the way. He's going to fight you off this.
Doesn't have to keep his verdict. Seismic Shop is good, though. JDG might find an opportunity.
JackeyLove's
with
not here.
Wayward not having Mega Gnar either. A good point with no AD carry, as JDG using numbers and timing to get their first objective of the game.
Just looking at the minimap at the state of the bot lane turret, I don't think Top Esports should be too bothered by this.
True.
But still, for JDG, right, at least you find something. They're already at a point where they're 4K gold behind. Getting the Herald, if they can raise this mid lane turret, can start giving them at least some hope, some light at the end of the tunnel.
They're making the best of a bad situation,
True.
I think is the thing they're doing. They're getting that mid-tier one, and it's not just the fact they're getting a tower. If Top Esports had gotten the Herald, they certainly would have knocked down that mid-tier one for JDG, and having that still up for JDG can definitely make it more difficult for Top Esports to push in aggressively. Dragon spawning, but JDG, there's no way you contest this.
No, JDG, it just feels like it's so hard to even think about the options that JDG has. We saw them try to make the play around mid, but Kanavi going so far, Yagao, not really comfortable to follow up with the Weaver's Wall, wasn't able to catch up in time. It feels like at this point you're playing for picks or mistakes. Ow, but
Third death, anyone? Well, Knight still has the flash. One more Spirit Rush, and with the crown going down, he runs into range. Tian is always standing by. And Yagao is apparently going back to high school because he's been isolated, singled out, and taken down once again.
You know, if you tune in this game and you see Yagao 0-3, you might think, man, he's running it. I'm impressed he's only 0-3 after this point. He has been focused so heavily. Another person who's just been focused as well is 369. That tower is offering little protection with it being that low, but Tian doesn't even let him get to it in the first place.
No, nice job blocking and honestly hitting all the CC, right? Mega Gnar connects, they hit with the Poppy ultimate, block the charge coming out from 369 and making sure they're able to get the play down. And I kind of want to move back to mid lane, right? Because mid lane has been the focus of this game. Coming into today's series, in playoffs, like, Yagao has looked like the best performing overall mid laner.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, he has only played 2 series, but like, Knight has had some good games, some underwhelming games. Rookie, we haven't really gotten to see much of. Like, Duenby has his own flair and his own style that has been working, but Yagao really has been the standout. So punishing him has looked great.
I think the focal point for people looking at JDG isn't usually Yagao. He's normally someone overlooked, but yeah, you're right. He's been so fantastic in playoffs. So Top Esports giving this advantage tonight can be so meaningful.
Wait, he has buddies. He has buddies this time.
That's good. You know, a couple of years, made some friends. Now with the backup, the Top Esports still committed to play. The answer being no. And coming back to what you guys were saying before we got into the potential bot, I will say that, you know, Knight's been on the opposite end, right? We haven't talked about Knight much because of how he's looked in playoffs in comparison to the regular season.
And it's crazy too, right? Because, I mean, this is the Ping Shang Brawl. Like, both Yagao and Knight coming from the same city, playing on the same team, time in the LAN cafe where Yagao was actually the mid laner, but since we've been in LPL, Knight has always got the best of him.
But look at the gold. Wayward is 1,000 gold ahead of Knight, who is the second most in the game. He is so fed, has the hull breaker second, so it's a struggle to deal with him in the side lane, and he's constantly going to have that pressure throughout this game. The percentage HP from his W going to be an issue for 369.
And what a dichotomy from game one where Tian was bullied out. Similar to what we're seeing Yagao here. Maybe not as much so, but we're looking at a top laner who's had freedom in lane versus Sion. Tian back on in against Kanavi, but there's going to be no follow through. Right now, no objective up in the bottom side either, so it just looks like setting up for the pick for an advantage for the time being.
Big thing is, though, you can see the homework being done by Top Esports. Top is being pushed in here. Bot also has a wave in. Now they know they have the members who can lean from those side lanes. They're going to push into the enemy jungle.
Knight is hard to kill, though, in a 1v2. Maybe just burst him out. Spirit Rush. No. Ignite and dead. And a shutdown over to 369.
I'm actually surprised they had the damage coming out between them to take him out. He still had Flash and Spirit Rush up, but not even giving him a chance with the amount of CC that 369 has.
I feel like Knight just didn't respect the fact that when this Q is being channeled up by 369, someone could be moving. There could be the follow-up. Quite disrespectful. I don't fault him for not using the Flash and the stopwatch. I feel like saving those for that third dragon fight is more important, but he definitely could have ulted early to get out of that situation.
Yeah, still, we are going to see a replay of exactly how it went down. I assume it's like you said. Oh, actually, Knight being the one to go for the aggression on his former bro. And just right on the edge of that Q gets locked down instantly into the ulti. I mean, so much of the damage coming out from 369 himself.
Yeah, I mean, Sion, if you land a full channel decimating smash and the ultimate as well, it will do quite a bit.
I feel like, as well, what we just saw is kind of characteristic of what we talked about. Knight with some moments in playoffs so far. Knight with some moments that are uncharacteristic from him in the regular season. Might not be end of the world, but it was a big shutdown going to the front line we talked about with JDG's composition.
JDG will take anything they can get at this point, but I still think, thinking of the map setup Top Esports went with, they're showing, again, they know how to play out this game. They have a stronger 1-3-1 considering that they've set Taliyah so far behind. You have a Sion, you have the hull breaker on your Gnar, and they can generate pressure through sides, start rotating over, and completely take control of vision and start trying to find these picks.
And you can see JDG now have control of the river, but there's a bot wave being pushed in that Yagao has to answer. Wayward has been a menace on the top side, and 369 is shown, so now Top Esports feel confident. They know there's members of JDG answering. They can't be 5-man stacked in the bush, and they will push in and take control of the area.
And I feel like for the side of JDG, you can keep trying to go for those picks on side if someone's overextended, but that won't get you control. For JDG, when members like Knight or Wayward are pushing in sides, I feel like you need to commit 4 or 5 members mid to try and find an avenue into river to compete.
Like they are now. They found Tian. He's trying to rotate around, has to flash away. Great from Kanavi. As the setup means low health bars for Top Esports. Weaver's Wall coming through. This is what happened in game 1. It's a turnabout play. Tian, who played such a great early game, has been caught with his pants down this time around.
Fox, where did all the damage come from?
I mean, I feel like it's just a combination of this Zeri off this Taliyah, even when behind, able to do so much, and Hope, he has 2 items. I think Top Esports just got overconfidence. They walked forward and thought, you know, it's fine. What's the Zeri going to do? We've seen it all playoffs, all split, though. Zeri can do a lot.
In Top Esports last series against EDG, they kept coming back from 10K deficits. In Top Esports series before that against JDG, they made comebacks from 10K deficits. But now, when they're the ones put in the driver's seat, it's where we're starting to see mistakes come through. But hey, at least their lead is outpacing the mistakes.
Look, it is. You know, 5K still up there on the scoreboard. They lost that dragon, though, which was part of their dragon stacking. But we need to talk about Tian, guys, because walking around, he's the first to go.
Yeah, they actually go for the ult on him, and a lot of damage is thrown down. He ends up getting bursted hard because no one from Top Esports is in a position to follow up. And the thing is, Top Esports, they either commit, lock the people down with a CC, or they don't. It's not like they have this constant DPS from people like the Taliyah from the Zeri. And if Sivir isn't able to move forwards and land autos, yeah, the damage just wasn't there in return. And now, the big thing for me is JDG getting that dragon has bought them time. We talked about the scaling, the 3 items for the Zeri, the fact that Taliyah in the later stages will be such a menace, especially with this front line JDG has. So they have stalled out Top Esports.
And especially considering, like, Knight is ahead, Yagao is behind. Knight did go, again, a more damage-oriented build, but Taliyah is still going to outpace Ahri in terms of damage later on, especially with how the team fights we're seeing, right? Kind of very clumped up, very short range on the side of top esports. Even Sivir wanting to get involved in the fray, like I think it sets Yagao up for success. And in that last fight, sad we didn't get a damage grab, but it did look like 90% of that was just Hope being able to free hit.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's nearly approaching the big spike. Obviously, Infinity Edge is big for a lot of AD carries, but the difference between Zeri and Sivir is Zeri does a lot of magic damage, so not as reliant on the LDR.
Okay, Kanavi gonna ulti in and maybe relying on 369 coming in. A fight for JDG again. 369's value huge, a 3-man decimating smash as well. And look at Hope, the lightning crash down, the flash forward. Run top esports. Jing Dong are ringing the doorbell of death yet again as even Knight has to go. And we get to the mid game and Jing Dong become demons.
They don't have an answer for the Zeri. Hope is just doing so much damage. And the thing is, if you start to run away from the Zeri, she is so good at chasing you down.
And it's just so tragic because we saw Wayward was like right behind 369.
Yeah.
But right as the fight started, 369, Wayward's Mega had just timed out. Shows up in Mini, not able to do anything. Maybe a re-engage could have come out if he had the engage tools available. It just wasn't there.
And I'm just mind blown that Kanavi didn't die, right? It was like the last tick of Ignite just wasn't enough to take him out. So JDG, again, get a pretty solid fight for themselves. There's a lot of summoners been on both sides, so something to note is Hope has lost that flash, but still you can see top esports struggling to navigate this mid game. And once Zeri gets the IE, I feel like it gets so much harder.
Especially now that we see 369 picked up in Anathema's chains. And we look at top esports comp, realizing, again, a lot of that damage is going to come out from JackeyLove, being able to stop some of that tenacity, make sure you lock him down. Sure, Wayward is still a full item up. Wayward will keep winning in that 1v1, but itemizing on the Sion, knowing his job is to just shut down this Sivir.
It's so crazy to me because we look at those items again, and as you said before, Orcs, before the fight, we've got an Infinity Edge on the way. So close, so much closer rather for Hope now. And I wanted to throw in that JDG's bottom lane, this is their first grand finals. And so far, playing this mid game so well with so much confidence.
Yeah, and I feel like with Dragon... Oh, 369 might be caught.
Yeah, but he's so tanky, he just turns it on a whim. Now with the weave as well, JDG, so we're the ones who can turn the bait as 369. Still not dead at half. Oh! Comes on in! Maybe Tian's going to be riding the bench for the rest of this one as our rookie in the grand finals has shown up huge.
Wayward comes in for game 2 and he gets the biggest ult, and now they're going to look towards Baron. Kanavi's still up, but they're going to TP Wayward in. They want to make this happen.
They want to look for it. Like you said, the fact that Wayward getting smashed the last time the teams met, now being the big difference maker.
All right.
They're going to go for it. Kanavi does have smite available.
Hope is not alive. 20 seconds here as Kanavi's flip could be everything for JDG to return back this game. At 4K, top esports not going to let it as Wayward goes over the wall, seismic shove, gets him, but he's about to go Mega Gnar again. Even without the ulti, that health is going to be huge. He chases down Kanavi next as Baron goes down, and top esports in a high-pressure situation. Wipe them out.
Things were looking dicey for TES, but one fight, one engage changes everything. Now having the Baron, now almost making their way up to a 10K gold lead. They should at least be able to push out with this Baron. Everything is in their hands.
Oh, they get so much in 30 seconds of the Dragon. They can look towards that as well. But we get the replay.
I'm ready.
The initial engage on 369, I wasn't convinced. I wasn't sure it'd be enough. But then everyone flies in and they don't respect the Mega Gnar. Wayward off to the side. They're focusing on the rest. And this ult, 3 members in, and look
beautiful.
at the follow-up from Knight, straight onto Hope as well. The Zeri is down, and the rest of the team can do nothing.
It's just so great, right? Seeing these small windows, huge ult, but also I love that you hit on Knight, noticing his angle to be able to get on the enemy to carry the one putting in all the damage, and now having LDR built for JackeyLove, that is massive when you have 369, and we see how much he was struggling to kill him. Now he could do it easily.
And now having a third Dragon to add to the mix. That's live. Top esports with the Baron have blown this game wide open. And what we know about regular seasons, spring playoffs, excuse me, summer playoffs, I could say spring playoffs as well. Once they have a lead, top esports are methodical and can blow games even further open.
And I just love how, right, I mean, this has been dominant from TES. Like, they've been in control the whole time, but still showing that these games, even with this lead, are back and forth. Both teams can find these small windows to be able to claw it back and make it competitive.
I was starting to feel a bit concerned. Just JDG was starting to offer some resistance, and it felt like the IE spike from Hope might be enough. But with this Baron, they've kind of circumvented it, and now JDG, I mean,
Wayward again, onto 369. It's a good seismic shove, though. It's a bounce house from JDG in response, but 369's not as tanky as he first thought. Running forward, Mark, Tian, now Knight just in case. Another kill, the base about to be open, and this Baron is a death threat from the top esports.
And top esports finding the kill. Now they have a wave already pushed it in mid. They can transition over, use the Baron minions on that, push this one down. JDG gonna try and find an angle, but I don't know if it's there.
Here's Tian yet again. Kanavi low on mana as the ult anyway, but Knight baits him in. Away you go, Hopers. JDG have none with an inner turret going down. Top esports, it seems they can't do any wrong anymore.
No, top esports is in such a good position. We highlighted the LDR before, and how 369 won't be as tanky as he once was. We saw how that worked out in the fight. Now TS, reset's going to come out, and they could start making their ways to more item breakpoints.
Yeah, I mean, if IE gets picked up by JackeyLove, the 4 items on Sivir, you don't really have tanks after that point. You just have, you know, squishy members who you can shred through. And 369 doesn't actually have that much armor, right?
Almost none.
Yeah, you get a bit from the Tabby, you get some from the Chem tank, but I think he's going for a Warmogs here. He has Anathemas. That isn't actually giving you that much armor. And with the Giant Slayer passive from the LGR, JackeyLove is just shredding. Now, we will see the replay coming out here. And I just think Knight, so fantastic on the timing with the stopwatch here.
Yeah, great job. Kanavi, I feel like really trying to overforce this one, wanting to find something. Stopwatch, as you pointed out, is great. And look how far forward Hope was playing that whole time, wanting to be in DPS range. So the Poppy ultimate able to do so much to take him out of the fight. And then JDG just left with no options.
And now the problem is, we are 3 minutes away from the Hextech Soul. That is going to cause such issues when you have the AoE damage from the Sivir, with the fact that you have that extra movement speed from the ult, and you're being slowed. It's going to cause so many issues for JDG. And top esports aren't even allowing them a look in, right? You have to get in the area and get some vision down first, but top esports are just keeping them locked in their base.
Well, I was going to ask you, are we going to even get there? Because with how they're playing as Wayward gets engaged on top esports, hitting over the mark. JDG have cut them off though, but with a TP, it's going to turn bad soon. But they need to kill Wayward as Hope takes the damage. They use everything. Soulflare comes on in as a turnaround. Mark gets out in the nick of time, but there's a numbers advantage. Kanavi gets over the wall. He's already used the cease and desist, but look towards missing as top esports try to re-engage Knight, even ulties, but that's a good pick from JDG, and there is no in response.
And the big thing with this, they can now start to establish some vision on the map.
Yeah.
They didn't burn any summoners from Wayward, right? And the gold isn't that important, but it's control of the map that is that critical thing they need before this dragon. So now JDG, they're actually going to push in and try and take this tier 1 tower. We'll see if top esports want to try and respond. They do have TP and Wayward's up in 20.
They also need to be careful. They actually spotted missing out how far back he was on that ward. So luckily he hasn't been isolated just yet. But JDG now left in a position where a fight might break through. No ult on 369.
Will the objective gold cost them is the biggest question I'm asking here. Mark with the solar flare, 5 seconds as well.
Wayward is TP.
Kanavi is getting out first, but his ult in response is also something we should highlight as Tian chasing up, but it stops there.
The thing is, I don't think that tower gold does that much. The tier 1 tower isn't that relevant.
True.
And now, because they committed into the lane, they actually didn't get the vision I was hoping they would get around Dragon. So sure, they got the kill, they got some gold, but they haven't changed the control of the map that top esports has. They now reset, and we're back where we were before. Top esports are going to try and keep them away from this Dragon area, and we are 1 minute from that soul.
Yeah, I feel like that's all that matters, right? Sure, JDG can try and drop waves elsewhere like they just did and find a pick, and it's all, you know, great and dandy, but for top esports, this is where you get this drag, and we can even start looking at things like playing out through the 2 lanes,
True.
trying to set up dives, just break through the base, and JDG won't really have many answers.
But I also like that even though they won't have many, we're still not discounting them completely. JDG so far in this series have made a comeback as Soulflare not connecting onto Kanavi. Wayward gets over the wall. The charm is out of range, so trying to burn down the jungler, but having said that, Solar Flare is down.
Yeah, it is down, but it's a pretty short cooldown, and the main thing is controlling the area. They don't want anyone from JDG making it to the Dragon, and then what JDG might try and do is lean towards the Baron instead, but look at top esports, look at Tian. They have control over the Baron, they're even going to take the Scuttle. What they want is to be able to pick up the Dragon, and JDG have no response available.
I think especially having all waves pushed in, but maybe we need to ignore that right now because JDG feeling in a desperate position, wanting to try to find something and at least force TES into an uncomfortable place. They are going to get it down, and they're just going to go for it. They're going to try and force the fight.
They're going to try and risk it. Top esports should detect this, but the wall is big.
Yeah, it's so good. Toothpaste coming up clutch here in JDG's mid lane as it's going down so fast. Seismic shove as well. Gets jungler away, but now over the steal. It comes through. Kanavi does get it, but now top esports are in the middle of the pit. Kanavi's been burnt. Hope on the edge. Look at the Zeri. You all know how it works. Shutdown onto JackeyLove. JDG having hope. Wayward trying to kill him, but he cleanses out. Hope ban missing. It's their first finals, but boy, does it look like it's been many.
And I just have no idea how JDG keep turning these around. Such a smart play on the Baron. They burn it so fast. And Hope and Yagao putting out damage the whole time.
JackeyLove said to Hope, if you can beat me, you're the best in the LPL. And Hope, in this fight, he stepped up to JackeyLove and he took him down. You can see initially the goal for top esports is get in the pit. They need to contest the smite, and after the smite ends up failing, it all turns to complete chaos. But I want you to focus on JackeyLove here. At the start of the fight, he gets locked down by a polymorph, can't do anything, and then here, he sees Hope, he sees him low, he pushes forward, only to get cut down by the Zeri with the Lulu backup. And then Waywads goes, no, we have to kill the Zeri. And once again, the polymorph comes in. The duo of JDG are performing so well.
It's been so great, right? Missing has been a top performer, the best support I feel like we've had this split. Even Yagao, I mean, that seismic shove was so crucial. I did not think they had the damage to burn that one down as fast as the wall would last. They did, and now we look at where gold's at. This was 10K plus before.
That's
We're at
right.
2,000 gold lead for TES.
And, you know, getting that second dragon as well for JDG. The game goes on. There's still no soul for top esports. And quickly coming back, I mean, missing a Yagao being the highlight is just so crazy to talk about. When for JDG, out of the Dumpling Brother duo, it was always Zoom. It was Kanavi in recent history. Hell, even Loken had some pretty big games in finals. So feel like right now JDG are rewriting this
But you're right.
And rewriting game 2.
This was supposed to be the Kanavi show. That's what this squad was. And now, I mean, this split, they've changed it, right? They are able to work as this 5-man dynamic. And top esports, I mean, they still have a chance, right? They have a huge Sivir. They can take these fights if JackeyLove wasn't in such an uncomfortable position.
Ulti's going to be blocked. It's a 1v2, but the damage.
Take a while.
Yeah, we may as well sit down, crack a cold one, boys, because 369, as he flashes over, needs the help of Knight, at least getting the kill here. But what is JDG's response on the other side of the map?
Looks like they're going to be able to get this turret down. I don't think they should be able to push for much more because resets can now start to come out from the members of TS who did commit to the top side for the pick. But at the same time, right?
Nice.
Everything now is just about buying time. It's about getting to another dragon once again for top esports. If you can lock in that soul, I feel like you're feeling like you're once again in a pretty solid position. JackeyLove now being on that 4-item mark. I mean, we talk all the time about like 3-item 80 carries, Ox, but 4 items is really where Sivir becomes that immortal monster.
Yeah, that's the difference, is that Hope has a lot of magic damage on the Zeri, so LDR isn't as important. But because Sivir's all physical, you really need that armor pen to cut through the squishy targets.
Oh, he's flashed on. Here we go, the Weaver's Wall as well. The member that changed the game for top esports is almost going to die. A yeet out of there by Tian. But for JDG not finding the pick, it ends up an even trade.
I feel like this is all just going to come down to that next dragon fight. If either side wins that, the soul for top esports could be enough to bring them over the line. But I think if JDG get it in return, they've started to ramp up. We've seen the power of this Zeri with the Lulu countless times, once again rearing its head. This is a full build Zeri, by the way, already in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. And even just looking at items across the board, right? I feel like another important thing is Kanavi having that Guardian Angel. He's been the one starting up all the fights, and now can find that engage, not be afraid of going down, buying enough time to be able to take it. And JDG, with this information, with this confidence, are just going to barrel down through the bot lane. I feel like a key member of TS we're looking at, not only JackeyLove, is Waywads.
Yep.
He had that huge Gnar ulti earlier. He needs to find another one of those plays again if top esports want to take a fight.
But I'm looking at the angles right now from Tian and JackeyLove, trying to find their way into the bottom lane. Kanavi zoning out the area as the push continues on. You look at the other waves, no threat on the rest of the map, as top esports now push back into their own base, and the dynamic change here again. Just so interesting to see.
One of the problems, though, you saw that charm come out from Knight, nearly hit onto Hope, but he has Cleanse and Merc Scimitar at this point.
Yeah.
All your CC on the side of top esports is cleansable, is removable. It's so hard to punish, and now gonna use the Weaver's Wall to cut that off. We do see a bit of damage coming on Hope, but he will back away, and it's such a difference. We saw top esports controlling the area, having complete vision over that dragon area. Now they are the ones who managed to push in and get this deep vision, and we are minute 10 from what I feel like is going to be the fight to decide the game.
I know, now it's so hard, right? Because we're past the point where TS can try and force through side lanes and have that avenue to come in through bot side, because JDG can just ignore it. JDG can just keep hard forcing his 5 through mid. get your way into River, and then how do top esports walk into you? I feel like we need to look at angles. We need to see flanks from Knight, from Wayward, be able to pick someone off with that charm, Wayward coming on a backline, or if Tian can hit a key member out, like right as the fight's starting, you have the numbers. These are the ways top esports can potentially take a fight.
We saw this when, engaged.
Yeah, it comes through, but it doesn't hit anyone. He's stunned up, hit down, 369. It's not the fridge that you buy first classes. Running on in, Kanavi now so deep into the GA. Wayward has to flash out. At least he survives, but 369 in zombie form tries to bring it back as Hope is a Zeri. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? You get the racehorse started here as Hope is running down the center lane, but JDG will not close the gap. And off the back of that, Hope is still supercharged. Please,
TP!
No. Please, no. With the TP coming in, Lyric notices that Wayward's here to party, but Hope is still with the GA.
It's still an advantage for top esports. 369 is down for 30 seconds. Dragon has just spawned, and Kanavi is getting back on the map. The ult is going to drop for Hope. He's still super strong, but top esports feel confident to approach. This could be them securing the Dragon, but it may cost them the Baron.
Okay, what's the better trait? We all know Soul is forever.
It's forever, right? You have that for the rest of the game. And I'm going to be real. This game feels like it's a moment away from ending, but I also think there's still a lot more in both these teams.
Yeah, JDG now going to be able to secure this. Knight's here, but doesn't look like they have enough of the engaged follow-up. But look at TS now. They can honestly just barrel down mid, trying to get some pressure, make JDG come to react.
They can push the waves in deep, and ultimately, the combat power is in their favor with that Soul. Actually, they might look for a pick here. If they catch someone, the slow from Hextech could be devastating.
Only 2 members spotted out here. Kanavi, as he gets across,
Wait,
not gonna be
I know what they're doing. They're waiting for the Hex Gate.
Oh, really?
Someone comes out the base. They die.
Oh my god. And JDG would feel safe, right?
It's gotta be.
And they're gonna go for the pick instead. Onto Yagao now, caught on out, jumps against the wall. A shutdown from top esports, playing with the brains.
And this means with the member down, there's 2 minutes 20 on Baron. Yagao is dead for half of that. You're not gonna get that value out of the Baron, and top esports still have that Soul.
We need to see some like crazy heroics come out from Hope to keep this one alive. Top esports now, I mean, back and forth, boys. We see top esports hugely JDG bring it back, and now TS once again in the driver's seat. Hope is the only hope for JDG. Still putting out that insane damage. He's been on full build forever, though. Finally did sell that Mercurial Scimitar, though, and now having the Guardian Angel in pocket.
I feel like it's just like semi-finals all over again. We're talking about Hope, we're talking about JackeyLove, but JDG and top esports having the expectation in this final to be beyond a banger, right? You put the capital B in there because of how high it is. Top esports and JDG, as you've been saying, Orcs, might come down to one moment.
And also notice, Yagao just sold his crown and bought Leandri's. They are starting to feel the fact that all the weight is on Hope. If Hope gets CC'd, even if he doesn't die, your damage just falls off so much in that fight for the seconds that he is under crowd control. In the previous fight, he got ulted by Leona, and he really felt the momentum drop.
And that's why for Hope, you got to remember this guy who rode the bench on EDG, behind people like Viper, replaced, even iBoy, right? Hope has always been someone who's been looked down on, looked as a bottom tier AD carry. Now for JDG, the reliable AD and the namesake.
And let's remember, on that EDG squad, the one thing we did herald Hope for was his late game team fighting. That was like what they played on. His laning wasn't that great at the time. His mid-game surges weren't there, but he was able to take over when the game went late enough if EDG gave him the resources. Now JDG, they do.
Feeling so confident. The man stepping up on this Zeri with the full build in front of us. We don't have anything up, gentlemen, but we still have a Baron. And we have JDG trying to play a bit like top esports, right? That's what we saw before in the top side brush. They're going to do it in response.
That's the thing. If you catch someone out, if one person is out of position, that could mean the game. And if JDG get the second one, go to 2-0, that is a daunting prospect to face up against for top esports. They were 10,000 gold ahead in this game. Man, if you lose here, it is such an issue.
Wouldn't it be hilarious, though? 2-0 start from top esports and then semi-finals was a reverse sweep by JDG.
Look, I just want to say, right, if we use this one singular playoffs to represent 2020, I mean, JDG won in spring 2020, top esports.
It's just condensed. It's condensed.
Yeah. Exactly.
Who writes these scripts, man?
I mean, I know Munchables did have that, you know, kind of quote-unquote funny joke of 2022, but... looking ahead at the fight, right? For the side of TS, we now have Guardian Angel now picked up for Wayward, so now going to be able to play a lot more aggressive. And one of the things I'm afraid of...
the Baron power play was minus 87 gold.
Oh, God.
One of the things I'm afraid of for JDG going into this is how we highlighted, like, 369 indexing into a lot of health. We've seen in these fights, he's not very tanky. He gets taken down so quickly, and JDG's hope is kind of just bursting out a member of top esports right away, or again, just relying on, hey, it doesn't matter if 369 dies fast, because we have a Zeri.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like one of the problems with, despite 369 being like a super tanky champion, at this point in the game, AD carries just do an insane amount of damage, but also, you are kind of just allowing ricochets to bounce from 369 to other people. It doesn't matter if JackeyLove is hitting a high priority target, as long as you're hitting someone. And you got to remember, Hextech Soul, the main thing is the slow, but there is still that AoE true damage. I could see so much AoE chip damage just really threatening the side of JDG. So if they can get onto someone like JackeyLove, if they can allow Hope to step forwards, great, but otherwise that chip might really hurt.
And talking about Hope, right, we see Mark now as well. Anathema's chains coming out as well. So both teams realizing there's really only one huge threat we have to worry about.
There's a Knight's Vow from Kanavi as well. Like, this is full. We know who the carry is.
Yeah, I mean, Hope again setting up as that ward for JDG, giving a bit of information. Observers looking at it in case we get the TP play. 369 not targeting right now as he's sitting on Exhaust and Ignite, but we can expect a TP at some point soon as we're getting similar timers for both our neutrals.
Yeah, it makes it so delicate. It seems minuscule, but the fact that we have the Dragon just like 8 seconds ahead of the Baron can make all the difference, because if Top Esports rush that Dragon and run over to the Baron, they will catch you in time. So they are fully committing to control of this area, but you see sprinkles of vision. Those blue wards haven't been cleared out. You have that ward that was highlighted before in the river. JDG are on the back foot, but you know they need to contest this.
And they finally, I think, got to like their final items they were waiting for, because Yagao was just sitting, waiting for that death cap to be finished.
Yeah.
Now it is, so we now have the carries of JDG full build. Knight, I believe, is waiting to finish his Void Staff, but still having his own Rabadon's already completed. And my God, the lack of vision from JDG can make this go rough.
It's going to be 369, ulti up and available, and that Exhaust again. Remember, look at Waywads pathing though as he goes round. JDG sticking in mid lane now though, trying to get priority.
Yeah, you can see Waywads going for the bot wave.
Going in, okay, Charm does start off, but Top Esports not fully committing. Shot not hitting, but missing, getting poked out. JackeyLove, his own former Zeri this game, as Tian running from 369, but look at the damage, and look at Wayward just go for it.
I think JDG either need to find back, so they need to just go for the fight, because Elder's up, they need to force this.
Okay, Yagao doesn't have a minion wave though, so it's going to be slower. Top Esports are going through the bot wave. JDG committing to the back. Wayward has opened up bot with inhibitor soon to fall, but JDG should be here to deliver.
Yeah, they have to reset, but oh, D9!
No one's there yet. Solarflare locks him down. Ulti's cancelled out. All members of Top Esports on the front line, and down he goes. Top Esports pulling the trigger, starting to shove. It's flashed away from Knight, having to burn his own because he can't get over the wall as Hope versus Tian. The hope of JDG quite literally stepping forward as JackeyLove still exists, but for JDG, they've lost their tank.
Yeah, I don't know what JDG do now. They're trying to get as much value out of the can with the damage Hope can do, but now Top Esports, they feel comfortable just starting this one up.
It's so hard to chase them down with a Hextech Soul. They know they have to fight though. They are down a member, but they're gonna make it happen.
And Hope's ulti is down as well. Running in doesn't have the same movement speed as they find the pick on top of Knife, but the mid lane left Golden Hand is gonna survive for a little bit longer. Finding the gap, Kanavi's in, but Knight's golden with a GA down. JackeyLove now caught out in his own ways. Top Esports versus JDG was never going to be the cleanest, but it's damn the most fun. A shutdown on Kanavi, a solar flare, that's great, cause the cleanse. Top Esports with numbers advantage, but Hope's still alive. Running for JackeyLove.
Nice,
and I remember that quite well as a big shutdown comes through. You said Knight's coming in. He's coming in from a flank.
But 369 is spawning, so you're not going to be able to end in this situation. I think they're just trying to reposition around this. Kanavi is 45, but without JackeyLove, without the Sivir, it's going to be so hard, but Tian is still looking.
Oh, he kites away there, at least just runs through. Top Esports know that Kanavi, as you said, 35 seconds till he's up. Wayward's running back in bot to pressure again.
And I just love how Top Esports are playing this, right? It's a push and pull, making JDG have to make these tough calls, because Top Esports can play out, you know, through Dragon, through the side lane, and give JDG no avenues.
To equalize the series, Knight now running forward, dismaying the rest of JDG, stopping the back.
But the problem is, their DPS on Dragon is so low. Like, Elder Dragon, look at the health bar. They don't have JackeyLove. They're going to try it. But I think JDG is going to move back over and try and contest, and Hope is such a problem.
369 is TP.
Okay, as he comes on in, Top Esports now aware, moving down to the bottom brush. 369 rams his head into the wall, but Top Esports, as they flash away, need to get out of harm's way. Hope gets locked down, but still alive and well. As Wayward goes into mini Gnar, but he's stuck in the pit, and Mark has been exposed. Hope, yet again in the namesake, showing JDG could still be in this.
JackeyLove is back up, and so is Kanavi. Jungler heading over to be ready with a smite.
Oh my God.
Sivir is there, but I think Top Esports might just be giving this one up.
Oh, it looks like they are. Not here in time. I mean, Tian not here with the smite. Knight looks like he's fishing for something, but now with Kanavi on the board, JDG getting their hands on Elder, now having some combat power of their own to be able to match back. Not really much of a window to do things with Mark being up at 20 seconds. JDG do have to get their side lane set up, but my God, Ox, this was a brawl.
Yeah, and Kanavi finds this angle onto Knight, and he is basically solo. He gets a bit of support for missing, but he just continues to aggress onto the backline, right? Nearly kills Knight, but against CC. But then look, JackeyLove getting chunked out by the Dragon, and Yagao runs straight into Kanavi, who with his dying breath takes out the AD carry, and because the GA is gone, that allows Hope to hunt him down later in the fight.
Ooh, we're back though on top of the Baron with the Elder secured. JDG feeling confident for Top Esports, trying to teamfight this as Charm kicks us off onto 369. Weaver's wall on the backside of Top Esports, moving the Hex all in, but ult from Tian doesn't connect. Meanwhile, 369 survives as Charm gets onto Kanavi. Knight coming up clutches, Mark's ulti the same. They pile in. Top Esports now teamfighting with a Sivir as Wayward gets them away. It was against an Elder, and they're winning! How?
Got it!
How are they doing this as Missing Flash was over the wall? Now Kanavi's only one left, and Top Esports will not be thwarted with in Game 2.
I had no concept that they would go for the fight against Elder. It's such a strong buff, and yet not only do they look for it, but they find it, they get the fight, and they're going to take the game.
And to paraphrase a Sheen on the desk, the only thing you can be sure of it is life, death, taxes, and Top Esports and JDG being an absolute banger in the grand final.
Against Elder, TES managed to pull it back. I think from the side of JDG, I mean, not really having the position to go for the turn. 369 already taken so low by the time any members can follow up. The Poppy ultimate actually did a lot for that, right? Because it zoned both Kanavi and Hope like further into the pit, which is just like, hey, now our side's taking all this free damage. Other members come in. Hope's walking far forward, and Top Esports got everything that they wanted.
I was convinced that they would just try and knock Kanavi away, go for the steal, maybe run away, licking their wounds if they weren't able to. But they had no, like, obviously Baron was relevant, but the fight was what they were looking for. And the fact they managed to do it against Elder, that's such an uncommon thing to happen, right? Normally if a team gets Elder, they're probably just winning. But if they don't win, it's usually because you waited. You let it time out. And Top Esports just, oh man, what a game.
I mean, there's such strong identities,
Look,
right?
these
JDG
games
Blood.
keep messing up my collar.
Oh, that's okay.
That's all I gotta say.
Dude.
These games are messy. These games are crazy.
That's fine.
And now we get 1-1.
That's fine, dude. We're in Paris. We're in the city of love, the city of success. I was gonna say something else, and we're gonna stop
city
there.
of baguettes.
Yeah, that's right. You know, keep it
Hey,
civil.
you know what I want to say? Shout out my boy Wayward.
Yeah, good stuff.
Absolutely popped off in that game. Like,
I mean, that Gnar ultimate, like in the middle of the game,
Changed
was
everything.
huge. And I just don't know. I don't know what to say. The fact that this game, JDG were in control 3 times, Top Esports were in control 3 or 4 times.
it's real simple. Top Esports got a big gold lead, a little bit of trolling, then they won.
Yeah, simple as that. It was cut and dry.
I guess, yeah. You know, his
Where's
dad
Parker
just shakes his head in agreement. I think, yeah.
Again, look, City of Love for a reason. I love this series so far. I love semi-finals. I think a lot of people put out there it was the best League of Legends series of the year so
the
far.
competition already.
And what more can we expect, right? The longest game in playoffs so far, 51 minutes in. That was like 46, 47. We again get to that late game, and like we talked about Top Esports team fighting throughout. I'm not sure how much you take away from that last team fight, but you definitely look at the exceptional skill that they show each time.
I just feel like, you know, we often use a phrase like it's a game of inches. It feels like the margins are so small, and if someone makes a mistake, you know they'll pounce on it. I feel like it's not just the fact that these players are mechanically performing so well, but they are testing the limits. And you're in the finals, right? You're in a game where one mistake could not only just cost you the game, but maybe people criticize you, could have a long-term effect on your career. They just don't care. They will push the limits constantly. Hope, so aggressive. JackeyLove, I don't know. He only knows aggression.
Yeah, and I feel like one thing, like the one takeaway we can have so far, which maybe we should have had coming into the day, is like the first like 20 minutes of the game do not dictate at all. Like who's going to win, what's going to happen, what's going to come out in the end, because it's all about team fighting, right? It's all about these 5v5s. I do expect things like this Zeri. Like, sure, Zeri didn't win this game, but just the fact that JDG had a Zeri is what made this game so close and so competitive in the first place.
And putting everything into it, like the not anathemas, the Knights Vow we saw out of Kanavi.
Heck, there was an anathemas on the side of TS to stop it. Like, you see all the tools coming out. We saw in their first series, JDG didn't care about the Zeri. Coming today, Top Esports are the ones willing to open it. And I feel like both teams just need to start like respecting this pick a bit more. more. Because again, sure, TS, you won. It was brilliant. But I don't think you want it to be that hard to get there.
It was problematic, I think we can say.
Good word. Good word.
Like, I feel like this is such a hard game because, you know, both teams will go from this game and go, okay, what do we need to change? What do we need to adjust? What's the main focus points? What are we looking at in the next game? There's a lot of that game to think about. A lot of things that went wrong, went right. But, I mean, I guess at least we have Lana's desk to break it down.
I was literally going to say, thankfully, we don't have to talk about it. We get to go into game 3 with heads held high because this is a series with one apiece now. Our grand finals goes to an even game number 3 after the break.